Hello, my name is Dr. Kathleen King, and the following video is a short mini class on what is Primal Trust. I gave this class at the Rewiring Your Wellness Retreat last year, and it's just a taste of what it is that I teach in the Primal Trust mentorship, which is a 3-month mentorship. In this mini class, you're also going to get a taste of my brain rewiring attunements, which is kind of my secret sauce that I bring into the brain rewiring community to do a type of memory reconsolidation where we work on removing some of our unconscious blockages. So if this resonates, please check out my website to learn more about the Primal Trust mentorship. And I hope that you enjoy the mini class. Thanks for watching. Hi, my name is Dr. Kathleen King, and I'm a physical therapist and a neuroscience and consciousness educator. In addition to wellness coaching, I create online brain retraining programs and I teach group courses. I have an amazing personal story of healing from many years of disease and trauma. I learned to regulate my nervous system through brain rewiring and other tools. Over time, I experienced radical healing and transmission. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about what I decided was probably one of the most foundational experiences in creating the healing biochemistry in my body. This is the experience of developing what I call primal trust. And I'm going to tell you a bit about it, and we'll also be doing a process to experience that. If you have any questions, you can wait till the end, put them in the chat at the end, and if there's time, I will get to them, okay? So, what is primal trust? Primal trust, to me, it's the ingrained certainty that everything is somehow okay and that things are going to resolve in a way that's in your highest good. It's the trust that everything that happens in life is to increase learning and experience. And in relationship to health, primal trust to me, it's a deep knowing that there's an innate intelligence running your body and capable of resolving any situation. It's a feeling like all your needs will be met. You'll be able to trust the environment, and you're trusting that the body knows how to heal. I describe it as feeling like being at home inside yourself. It's a sense of belonging and believing I have a place in this world. Primal trust, it's typically developed in the first few months of life. It is possible to redevelop it. In my case, I felt like it was never developed, and I felt like I had to carve that neural pathway from scratch. I have found that trying to heal without developing inherent primal trust is kind of like trying to build a house without a foundation. Without practicing trust and developing that neural pathway between the brain and the heart, I often see a lot of emotional instability and sabotage patterns surface throughout the healing journey. So let's talk a little bit about how primal trust gets developed. Primal trust happens in the present moment. It's built moment by moment. That is the key. You have to get into the trust that in this moment, your body has an intelligence greater than you can ever realize consciously. Trust doesn't happen when you're focused on things in the future that you're uncertain about. Again, primal trust, it's a neural pathway between the heart and the brain that's carved in this present moment again and again. Over time, the ventral vagal connection of safety and trust gets habituated as you develop an inner anchor based on experience of what trust feels like. This is not something you learn. I could tell you all day about this, but until you experience it, it's hard to really know what it is. You start to experience this by asking yourself, what would primal trust feel like over and over again? Ask your higher self during your brain rewiring practices to show you perspectives that help you trust and help your body create the chemistry of primal trust. That's a powerful intention to add to your brain rewiring practice. We're going to explore how to do this today. So, how do you know that you're developing primal trust? Simply by your actions. You're going to feel less resistance to your incremental training and be able to come back to your center when a limbic spike or some type of emotional disturbance happens. Your biochemistry will come back to balance quicker, and you'll feel more willing and motivated to get out in the world. So maybe just take a moment and type in the chat box, what does primal trust mean to you? As I'm talking, just bring to mind, and if something comes up, write it in the chat box to help other people get inspired. So I want to just touch a little bit on my personal story in developing Primal Trust. I've really been there. Every proof that I wasn't okay. I was bedbound and ill for years. I had all the trauma patterns, all the dysregulation, the diagnoses, all of that. Everything changed when I found that I found an ability to have a complete reorientation to my innate, indestructible okayness. Indestructible okayness. What would that be like? I teach a lot about that principle because it is ground zero. How do you find indestructible okayness? I created a pathway of trust that wasn't in my doctors, the procedures, or even my self-care routine, but it was in the innate intelligence of my body and the flow of life. I decided to find a way to trust in my body's innate intelligence, even if all of the evidence was counter to that, because it wasn't working for me to resist, protect, or justify my fear-based orientation anymore. I had to choose a different way and practice feeling trust. What happened is I made this choice and an action that to start trusting as much as I could over and over. And what happened was perspectives started to flood in that I had never had in all the many years I was sick. Perspectives that allowed me to look at my lab tests and not panic. And sometimes I would even laugh or hear the doctor's opinions. And I learned to stay anchored in my own belief that my body was capable of healing anything. That's primal trust. I had to find it again and again. Slowly, my biochemistry shifted. My infections and other symptoms just seemed to fall away. Sometimes it felt like I was having to hold steady in a hurricane. I carved this pathway by creating heart-brain coherence and using brain rewiring techniques and other tools that I have. I began to feel trust and non-resistance to my health situation and my life. So what's in the way of primal trust? There's two things: fear of the future and letting the past convince you that it's not safe to trust. As far as the future goes, usually we are always resisting some sort of possible future scenario. And maybe this rumination that if this situation doesn't change, it's going to result in a worse situation later. What if that undesirable future was only one possibility? And you redirected your attention away from resistance and towards trust instead. How would this moment be easier? How would the next moment be easier? How would it be easier if you spent less time resisting how you feel right now, just for a few minutes? What would your experience be like if you reoriented your perspectives to focusing on a life of trust versus protection? The second thing that prevents primal trust is the past. Not letting go of past grievances or the proof in your history that you can't trust. That's one of the biggest things I work on with my clients, all their proof of why they can't trust. So if you're having a hard time trusting the future or the past, what are you left with? What about just right now? Listening to this program, hearing stories of recoveries from others who understand you. Can you start with just trusting that? My question to you is this: what habits would have to change to increase the experience of trust in your life? So today, we're going to have an experiential process of primal trust. I'm trying to pack in all my favorite tools in a very short time to experience this. I was asked last minute to do this, so I've had about 24 hours to pull this together, and I love a challenge. So here we go. So today we're going to be doing a somatic-based heart coherence practice, a little bit of energetic grounding, and a mini brain rewiring attunement, accessing the higher superconscious self to help create a primal trust neural pathway. So for those of you who aren't familiar, heart-brain coherence, in a nutshell, it just means creating a harmonic communication between the brain and the heart to regulate the autonomic nervous system of the body. Okay? I highly recommend heart-brain coherence practices. You can look up heart math. I teach them also. It's a great adjunct to any brain retraining program. It really helps with getting the polyvagal connection up and regulated, and absolutely is essential in feeling the experience of primal trust. Okay, so the second part of the practice today is something that I call a brain rewiring attunement. It's a signature process that I've been developing and also learning from others. And I have a process called a dimensional shift technique, which is basically where I'm combining neuroplasticity, brain retraining methods of memory reconsolidation with accessing the intelligence of the higher superconscious self. There are a lot of leading brain rewiring therapists right now using a similar approach as my attunement and having amazing results. It's truly an exciting new area in the brain retraining field. I'm going to be just doing a very shortened mini version of that today because of time. Okay. All right. So I'm just flipping to my notes here. So what is the higher superconscious self? Anybody? You guys can type that in if you have any ideas. I'm going to explain my definition of that. I describe the higher superconscious self as a field of information. It's the part of you that's the innate intelligence that grew you from a few cells in the womb into your adult self. It knows how to heal your scrapes and your broken bones. This higher self gives you inspiration, intuition, insight. It's the same field of information that's connected to everybody and everything. It has access to all of your memories, understands your body perfectly. In this attunement, I'm going to be asking your higher self to help with memory reconsolidation. And I'm going to be using some metaphors and simple instruction. There's nothing you need to do to remember or figure out. It's not done consciously. It's gentle and easy. You might even drift off, and that's okay. The primary goal of the attunement today is to start to rewire the subconscious resistance patterns, keeping you from trusting life and moving forward with your goals. It's a process that you can even learn how to do on your own and add to your current brain rewiring practice. It works really nicely with pretty much any brain rewiring method I've come across. So basically in attunement, I'm going to put a link to describe this in the chat at the end to understand more. I don't have a lot of time to go through all of it today, but in a nutshell, I'm going to be getting your brain into a creative brain firing pattern similar to the typical brain rewiring techniques. And then I'm going to be asking the higher superconscious self to come in and help remove resistance, basically. Okay. First, we'll be doing a heart coherence practice. Okay. So the goal of today's process, I really want to help you have the experience of what primal trust feels like, so you can find it again and again. Okay. I am going to have a couple of cues that I want to teach you before I get into the process. First of all, I'm going to be having you get into your heart center, and I'm going to have you put one hand on your heart and another hand down on your lower abdomen. And the heart coherence practice, I'm going to have you start by inhaling and squeezing your hands and exhaling and relax. I teach a lot of somatic practices. That was my background as a physical therapist. I did somatic work, then brain retraining, then vagus nerve work, and now attunement. So I'm going to be combining all of it as best I can today. Okay, so breathing in, tighten and relax, or tighten and exhale and relax. That's the pattern. It's going to be a 5-second in breath and a 5-second out breath. On the out breath, I'm going to have you start by repeating the phrase, "I trust this." So we'll do that together here in just a moment. The second thing that I'm going to be bringing in is in the brain rewiring attunement. I like to use metaphor because that helps the subconscious understand what we're asking. So we're going to be using the metaphor using a flower, and we're going to have an open, wide open flower with all of its petals open, representing what it feels like when you're in primal trust. So this flower is going to represent you in primal trust, and all the way open is, I am willing to trust. I'm willing to let go of protection. I'm willing to trust life. We're also going to bring in the image of another flower that has its buds, the petals closed, maybe partly, maybe all the way, just not ready to open up to the sunshine in the world. And that's going to be the part of you that is afraid to trust. Okay, so we're going to use that metaphor. Okay, so All right. Before we begin, I also wanted to show you a picture that I drew when I was in my brain rewiring process, and I started to get this aha moment of primal trust and the polyvagal connection. And I'm a bit of an anatomy nerd, so I drew an anatomy picture to show what primal trust looks like. So I'm going to share my screen and share what I think primal trust looks like. Okay. Oops. Hold on. We get back to this. All right. Present mode. Okay. All right. So hopefully you guys can see that screen. If not, let me know because whoops, I need to go back. So, move this. So this picture just represents the brain connecting to the heart, holding hands with the heart. And I really love that. I love the imagery there of these two parts becoming friends. So that's really what I think primal trust feels like. Okay, so I'm going to stop share for a moment, and then we're going to get into the process. So I highly recommend, I meant to say, draw what primal trust looks like. It's such a great way to teach your brain. When you get in a moment of feeling that, draw an image, whatever it is, show your brain over and over. That's another trick to help create primal trust, is to draw imagery to teach your subconscious mind. Okay, all right. So I am going to, whoops, there's somebody sharing a screen. You're viewing Meredith's screen. I don't know what's happening, but I'm looking at somebody else's screen right now. If it says Meredith, they could stop sharing. That would be...
I'll get it for you, Kathleen. Let me see.
Okay, sure. Okay, great, thanks. Okay, so I'm going to be playing some music in the background while we do the coherence practice and the attunement. Okay, and back to screen share. Okay, and all right. Okay, so if you're able, hopefully you're able to hear the music playing. I can't hear it on my end because I'm sharing it through the computer. And it shouldn't be too loud. If it is, somebody let me know and I will quiet it down. All right. So we're going to start by just simply grounding into the present moment. Okay. And let's see if I can just, all right. Okay. So what I'd like you to do is just place one hand over your heart, one hand on your belly. Okay. And I always start with a grounding practice to ground the body energetically. So what I'd like you to do is just close your eyes and breathing into the heart, imagine a pink light that's filling the heart space. Filling the heart space with the energy of primal trust. And breathe out. Breathe in again and intend that that pink ball of light in the heart is filling up, and as you breathe out, send that light right down your spine, down your legs, down your feet, all the way down into the center of the earth, connecting to the earth, grounding your body, intending that you belong here on this earth at this time, in this moment. Again, keeping your hands at your heart and at your abdomen, breathe in for 5 seconds. Seeing that pink ball of light glowing, and exhale. This time as you breathe in, I'm going to have you squeeze your hands like we talked about before, okay? So go ahead and breathe in, squeeze your hands, breathe out, and say the words out loud or to yourself, I trust this. Relaxing the hands. We're going to do this a few times. Breathe into the heart, squeeze your hands on your heart and your belly. 5 seconds in, breathe out. Relax the hands. I trust this. Again, breathing in. Trusting that you're able to take a breath. Breathing out. I trust this. Breathing in, calling all your energy into this present moment right here and now. Breathing out. I trust this. Relax the hands. Breathing in, connecting to everyone on this program in heart coherence now. Breathing out, relaxing the hands. I trust this. Great. So I want you to just continue that breath pattern as we go into the attunement. Okay, you can relax your hands now. You don't need to squeeze. Keeping your eyes closed, just your hand on your heart, hand on your belly. Okay. All right. So now we're gonna be retraining the brain to begin to feel safer and uniting with the heart to primal trust. Okay? Just close your eyes. And as we go through this process, just be willing to trust that there's an inner resilience and a capacity to heal and to feel great. Be willing to simply release anything that has prevented you from being in your heart center. First, we're going to start by bringing to mind an ideal future self. You guys have been working on that today in these other practices. What is a reality where you're living a life you love and actually willing to trust your body and the intelligence within you? What are you able to do without resistance when you're living an ideal life and you have a state of calm flowing through you? What does that feel like? How do you talk? How do you walk? What does it feel like to be in a state of trust? Now, just bring the feeling or an image to the mind of that future self, trusting life. Good. Now we're going to use a metaphor to help the subconscious understand what trust looks like. Imagine this future state of trust is represented by an image of a beautiful flower. It's fully open. It's receiving the sun's rays. This flower is fully open to life. It represents you fully open to life and feeling the full life force flowing through you. This flower is you showing its colorful petals to the world and trusting the world receives its beauty. This future you is a flower that trusts life. Breathe in and smell the open flower. Breathe out and relax. Good, good, good. Next, bring to mind for just a moment the current reality and your general state of primal trust and how that might be different from the desired future. Don't spend too much time here, but just notice that in this reality, try to represent where you lack trust as that same flower is the future, but not fully opened. Or maybe it's a tightly wound up flower bud that doesn't seem to open at all. No judgment. Just bring to mind an image of a flower that represents your current level of trust. Are you opened a lot, a little, or just part way? Okay. Next, I'd like to bring the higher superconscious self to help rewire in new neural pathways of trust and improve vagal regulation to increase calm and decrease resistance. For those listening to this now or later, I ask for permission to talk to your higher superconscious self to complete the attunement. If this resonates and you are willing, please give me permission by saying, I give Kathleen King permission to talk to my higher self. Or if you just want to listen, that's okay too. The choice is yours. There's nothing to do here but listen. I'm going to connect to the higher self now. Okay. Higher self, do you see the desired future reality of increasing trust and living a life of love and vitality? Do you see and understand the metaphor of the fully open flower representing having primal trust in life, in the body, having the belief that I belong? And you see the image of the flower that represents the current reality, which has neural pathways where there might be resistance to fully trusting the body and trusting life. Noticing this flower isn't fully opened, do you see the difference in the two flowers? Higher superconscious self, do you see the resistance patterns and memories that are preventing the flower of the current reality to fully open and become the trusting flower of the ideal self that loves life and has primal trust? We are asking for help to resolve the resistance to trust and calm now. Breathing in and relaxing. Higher superconscious self, now that you've seen the resistance patterns preventing primal trust, please find and tag for an attunement the original event or memories and neural pathways that are creating resistance to opening the metaphoric flower into a state of trust. Thank you. Please open up these files, update these fear-based memory structures that are ready to shift with a perspective that allows trust and brings in the beliefs that I deserve to have a life I love. Or bring in anything else that would increase the ability to live a life of trust and non-resistance. Attune and rewire memories and patterns to bring peace and calm to the body now and help the flower open fully. Thank you. Just keep breathing through the heart, nice and slow. Focus on the desire to have your flower opening to the sunshine. Living a life you love, knowing what primal trust feels like. Higher superconscious self, please harmonize and attune all limbic brain structures such as the hippocampus, the insula, the amygdala, and decrease fear-based memory interpretations that affect limbic functioning as it relates to the desired outcome of primal trust. Perform a complete memory reconsolidation on all aspects that are ready to be brought into trust now. Thank you. Breathing into the heart. Nothing you need to do. The higher self knows just what to do. Higher superconscious self, please release and process all emotions in the perfect order and just the right amount as needed to create the biochemistry of calm. Higher self, please strengthen neurological access to the right prefrontal cortex to improve visualization abilities of living a life with primal trust. Thank you. Please attune and reroute any and all remaining brain structures and vagal nerve pathways as needed in the perfect way and in the perfect order. Thank you. Breathe in and breathe out. Notice your flower starting to open wider in just the right way for you, as your brain and your heart are now holding hands. To help bring to conscious and subconscious the desired beliefs of trust, please repeat after me out loud or silently to yourself the following attunement. I trust that this body has an innate ability to heal. I trust my limbic system to relax. I trust I know what my true needs are. I trust I'm creating a life I love. I know what it feels like to feel safe in the body. I want to be here fully in this moment. I want to forgive the past. I trust I will be prompted by my higher self when needed. I am love. I am light. This body is a vessel of love and light. I belong here in this body. I belong on this earth at this time. I know that my true self is indestructible. I know what primal trust feels like. And lastly, I trust my flower of life to open and receive the sunshine now. And so it is. Thank you, higher superconscious self, for your assistance in creating trust. Disconnecting now. All right. Okay. I have no idea what time it is. It looks like I probably used it all up, but if you have any questions, you can definitely get in touch with me on my website. I'll post all the links. I know it's kind of a new thing for some of you. Many of you have done this before with me. And yeah, if there's any quick question, well, actually, I don't know what time. It looks like it's probably time to be done. Let me post my links. And I have a blog post all on brain rewiring attunement, so you can learn more. What? Hello? Anyway, I have a, you can connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, on my website. I have online courses. I have basic ones, all on brain retraining basics, vagus nerve, very sciencey, nuts and bolts, somatic stuff. And I have courses that are attunements and heart coherence and even energy medicine. So I span the whole gamut. And I do private coaching. I'm going to be having some more group work coming up soon. I'll be announcing that on my website and on my newsletter soon. So if you guys
Thank you, Kathleen.
Yep. So I'll just post my links. Thank you.